What if the very habits keeping you alive today are slowly stealing your tomorrow? At 73, I've buried too many friends who thought they were doing everything right. They exercised, they ate their vegetables, they took their medications like clockwork. And yet, one by one, they vanished. Some suddenly, others after watching their bodies betray them in ways no one saw coming. The truth I've learned, often through the hardest lessons imaginable, is that staying healthy as we age isn't about following a simple checklist. It's about understanding what actually matters and what we've been getting catastrophically wrong. My wake-up call came at 52. I was lying on a hospital bed, chest splitting open with pain, wondering if I'd ever see my grandchildren grow up. The doctors told me I was lucky. Lucky. As if nearly dying was some kind of gift. But in a twisted way, they were right. That cardiac event didn't just restart my heart. It rebooted my entire understanding of health, aging, and what it means to truly take care of yourself. For decades, I'd done what everyone told me to do. I worked hard, pushed through exhaustion, skipped meals because meetings ran long, and convinced myself that stress was just part of being successful. Sound familiar? I treated my body like a machine that would run forever if I just occasionally changed the oil. I was completely, dangerously wrong. Here's what the medical establishment won't emphasize enough. Chronic stress is killing us faster than almost anything else. Not the occasional stressful day. We can handle those. I'm talking about the relentless, grinding stress that comes from careers we can't leave, relationships that drain us, and the constant pressure to keep up appearances. Your body releases cortisol when you're stressed. It's meant to help you escape danger, not to flood your system every single day for years on end. Elevated cortisol damages your heart, weakens your immune system, disrupts your sleep, and accelerates cognitive decline. Every time you tell yourself you'll relax later, you're making a deposit in the wrong bank, one that charges compound interest on your health. After my cardiac event, I started noticing something disturbing about my peers. The ones who seemed healthiest on paper, perfect cholesterol, ideal weight, regular exercise, were sometimes the first to get devastating diagnoses. Meanwhile, others who were slightly overweight or less obsessive about their routines were thriving. It didn't make sense until I understood something crucial. The numbers don't tell the whole story. You can have perfect lab results and still be profoundly unhealthy if you're chronically stressed, socially isolated, or living without purpose. Let me be blunt about something doctors rarely emphasize. Loneliness is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The research is overwhelming. Seniors who maintain strong social connections live longer, recover faster from illness, and maintain better cognitive function. Yet we live in a culture that celebrates independence to the point of isolation. We convince ourselves we don't want to burden anyone, so we stop calling. We decline invitations because it seems like too much effort. We let friendships fade because we're tired. And with each withdrawn gesture, we're shortening our lives. I watched my neighbor Tom deteriorate over 5 years. Physically, he was fine. He walked every morning, ate reasonably well, had no major health issues. But after his wife died, he stopped engaging with people. He'd wave from his porch, but never came to neighborhood gatherings anymore. His daughter called weekly, but he'd keep the conversations short. 2 months ago, he had a stroke. The doctor said his physical health should have given him a better outcome, but his recovery has been slow and incomplete. His isolation, they suggested, had primed his body for exactly this kind of crisis. The solution isn't complicated, but it requires something many of us struggle with: vulnerability. Call your children, even when you think they're too busy. Accept invitations, even when you'd rather stay home. Join a group, any group, where you see the same faces regularly. Community centers, religious organizations, hobby clubs, volunteer opportunities. These aren't luxuries for seniors with time to kill. They're medicine. They're life support systems disguised as social activities. Now let's talk about something that might make you uncomfortable. Most of us are taking too many medications, and we have no idea how they interact with each other. I'm not suggesting you stop taking prescribed medications. That would be dangerous. But I am urging you to have an honest conversation with your doctor about every single pill you take. After my cardiac event, I was on 7 different medications. 7. When I asked my cardiologist if I really needed all of them, he paused, and I could see him actually thinking about it for the first time. We eliminated 3 within 6 months, and I felt dramatically better. More energy, clearer thinking, fewer side effects. Here's what happens. You see one specialist for your heart, another for your joints, maybe another for diabetes. Each one prescribes something. None of them talk to each other. Your primary care physician is supposed to coordinate, but they see you for 15 minutes every few months. Nobody's looking at the complete picture of how these medications interact, not just the dangerous combinations, but the cumulative effect of being on 5, 8, 10 different drugs. The pharmaceutical approach to aging treats every symptom as a separate problem, requiring a separate solution. But your body is an integrated system. What helps one issue might worsen another. What seems like a new health problem might actually be a side effect of medications you're already taking. I'm asking you to be an advocate for yourself in a way that might feel uncomfortable. Write down every medication you take and why you're taking it. Make an appointment specifically to review this list with your doctor. Ask which ones are absolutely necessary and which ones you might be able to reduce or eliminate. Ask about non-pharmaceutical alternatives. This isn't about being difficult. It's about being informed and involved in your own care. Something else I learned the hard way. The quality of what you eat matters infinitely more than the quantity. For years, I focused on calories and portions, measuring and restricting and feeling virtuous every time I pushed away from the table still hungry. But I was eating processed foods marketed as healthy. Low-fat this, sugar-free that, whole grain, whatever. I was starving my body of real nutrition while filling it with chemicals and additives my grandfather wouldn't have recognized as food. The shift I made was simple but transformative. I started eating food that looked like food, vegetables that still resembled vegetables, meat that came from actual animals raised on actual farms, fruit that hadn't been processed into juice or concentrate. I stopped reading labels with 40 ingredients and started buying foods with no labels at all. Within months, my energy improved. My chronic inflammation decreased. My brain fog lifted. I wasn't eating less, I was eating better. And here's the truth about exercise that the fitness industry doesn't want you to hear. You don't need a gym membership or expensive equipment or complicated routines. You need to move your body in ways that feel good and sustainable. For me, that's walking. Every single day, regardless of weather, I walk for at least 30 minutes. Sometimes I walk with friends, turning it into social connection. Sometimes I walk alone, using the time to think or listen to music or simply notice my surroundings. The walking itself matters, but so does the habit of showing up for yourself every day. Strength training matters too, especially as we age. We lose muscle mass naturally, and that loss accelerates if we don't actively work against it. But you don't need to lift heavy weights at a gym. Bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, even carrying groceries or gardening. These activities maintain the muscle that keeps us independent and prevents falls. The goal isn't to look like you're 40 again. The goal is to be able to get up off the floor, carry your own bags, and maintain your balance when you stumble. Let me tell you what I wish someone had told me 30 years ago. Your health in your 70s, 80s, and 90s is largely determined by the choices you make in your 50s and 60s. This is your window. This is when the decisions you make compound into either vitality or decline. Every healthy meal matters. Every walk matters. Every conversation with a friend matters. Every hour of quality sleep matters. You're not maintaining health at this stage. You're building the foundation for your final decades. The last 21 years, since that cardiac event knocked sense into me, have been the richest of my life. Not because everything became easy, but because I finally understood what actually matters. I've traveled to places I'd always postponed visiting. I've deepened relationships I'd taken for granted. I've pursued interests I'd convinced myself I was too busy for. And I've taken care of my health not as a burden or obligation, but as the prerequisite for everything else I want to do and experience. You might be thinking this all sounds overwhelming. Another list of things you're doing wrong. Another source of guilt and anxiety. That's not my intention. My intention is to wake you up to the reality that you have more control than you think. Small changes compound into massive results. One conversation with your doctor about medications. One phone call to a friend you haven't spoken to in months. One decision to walk around the block instead of sitting in front of the television. These aren't revolutionary acts. They're the building blocks of a longer, healthier, more fulfilling life. The question I asked at the beginning, what if the habits keeping you alive today are slowly stealing your tomorrow, isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to invite examination. Look at your daily routine with honest eyes. What are you doing out of habit rather than intention? What are you avoiding because it seems hard or uncomfortable? What have you accepted as inevitable that might actually be changeable? Here's my call to action for you. This week, do 3 things. First, schedule an appointment with your doctor to review every medication you're taking. Second, reach out to someone you care about but haven't connected with recently, not a text, an actual conversation. Third, take a 30-minute walk, and while you're walking, pay attention to how your body feels, what you notice around you, and how different you feel afterward. These 3 actions cost nothing except time and a bit of courage. But they represent the foundations of healthy aging, medical awareness, social connection, and physical movement. Start here. Start now. Because the perfect time to take care of yourself will never come. Today is the only time you actually have.